Welcome to the Explainer. So, today we're diving into something that is literally everywhere, but it's surprisingly complex when you actually stop and break it down. We're going to decode the foundational, social, and behavioral blueprints that are hiding in plain sight right inside repetitive nursery rhymes. We usually just brush these songs off as background noise for kids, right? But the source text we're analyzing today actually lays out a highly structured, comprehensive guide to human behavior. From managing physical pain all the way to negotiating these complex peace treaties on the playground, it's essentially a masterclass in early human development.
Okay, let's dive into this. We've got 4 core modules to get through today. First up, healing boo-boos and sniffles. Second, the rules of sharing. Third, surviving the car ride. And finally, taking turns at play.
So, starting us off with Section 1, healing boo-boos and sniffles.
Now, before a toddler can even think about interacting effectively with the wider world, they first have to learn how to manage their own physical self during unexpected distress. Take this literal distress call. Mommy, I have got a boo-boo. In the world of our source text, this is not just some minor inconvenience. No way. This is a high-stakes emotional reality. It's that exact critical moment of crisis where the child realizes their own physical vulnerability and immediately calls out for an authority figure to step in.
And what's truly fascinating here is how the text categorizes the specific sources of this physical trauma. We're talking about your everyday, run-of-the-mill environmental hazards: riding bicycles, playing on backyard rides, stumbling over things, and tripping. You get the idea. The text actively warns kids to be very, very careful around these things. But, it also totally accepts that accidents are just inevitable. And when that trauma does happen, the text provides this guaranteed, scripted adult reassurance. Don't worry, I will help you. This will make you feel okay and make the pain go away. It's basically hardwiring this fundamental trust in caregivers as the ultimate healers. It actually establishes this literal step-by-step biological algorithm for dealing with sickness. Look at the flow of what we can call the illness protocol. Step 1, you identify the symptoms, maybe a red nose, sniffles, feeling low, or looking tired. Step 2, bam, time to take your medicine. Step 3, the baby needs to sleep. And then, Step 4, waking up looking better, happy, and healthy. It takes that scary, abstract unknown of feeling sick and just transforms it into a highly predictable, comforting little checklist that a child can actually wrap their head around.
All right, moving right along to Section 2, the rules of sharing. Welcome to toddler diplomacy.
As we pivot away from managing the internal self, we enter the wildly complex and, let's face it, often volatile world of toddler diplomacy. The text presents this absolutely perfect negotiation sequence. It's an exact, highly structured process handed straight to children for resolving direct interpersonal conflict over resources. Step 1, the conflict is clearly stated on the table. I want to play, but you say no, it's mine today. Step 2 is the prescribed diplomatic action. I say please. Step 3, the positive resection. You smile so bright or you give a grin. And finally, Step 4, the resolution. Now we share and laugh and play. It's a literal step-by-step blueprint for de-escalation that kids are literally meant to memorize.
Now, the really crucial point here is understanding exactly what's at stake in these negotiations. Just look at the commodities of toddler trade we've got listed: lollipops, bicycles, toy cars, bubbles, and milk. The sheer variety of items toddlers are expected to negotiate over is kind of wild, which really emphasizes the universal application of this sharing rule, right? Whether they're bartering over a high-value entertainment asset like, say, a toy car, or a basic, fundamental biological necessity like milk, the diplomatic protocol of sharing remains absolutely 100% identical.
But that leads us to a really critical question, one that the source material actually anticipates and tackles head-on. So what happens when the first diplomatic offering is just flat-out rejected? Because as anyone who has spent even 5 minutes around a toddler knows, that first offer, it is rarely accepted.
While the text shows us this surprisingly realistic, iterative offering process, picture this. A baby is crying and a caregiver steps in to offer assistance, asking, "What would you like?" First up, they offer a bicycle. The response? No, no, no. Okay, then they offer a car. Rejected again. They offer a lollipop. Still a hard no. It takes active, on-the-fly trial and error, moving through all these different items before they finally hammer out a successful treaty with milk or bubbles, culminating in that joyous phrase, "Now we're good and have fun too." It is such a clear, vital lesson on persistence and patience when it comes to problem solving.
Okay, let's hit Section 3, surviving the car ride, getting into those outside stressors.
So, once we're outside the safe little bubble of the home, the text meticulously charts out the overwhelming sensory overload of a car journey. What seems like a simple, repetitive little song actually follows a really strict sensory progression. Check it out. It starts with the physical and visual. 1. The wheels go round and round. This immediately triggers an emotional reaction. 2. The baby says wah wah. Then bam, we get these sharp auditory spikes. 3. The horn goes beep beep, followed by even more disorienting visual stimuli. 4. The mirrors go open and close. All of this before finally reaching the sweet relief of the trip's conclusion. 5. The baby says bye-bye.
It vividly describes this enclosed ecosystem of repetitive mechanical sounds just totally mixed up with emotional distress. It masterfully juxtaposes the harsh, unfeeling mechanical elements, the beep-beep of the horn, the open and close of the mirrors, the round and round of the tires, with the very real, very human, distressed wah-wah of the baby. It completely frames the car ride not as some fun little adventure, but as an intense sensory obstacle course that the child basically just has to endure until it's over.
And that brings us to Section 4, Taking Turns at Play, Advanced Playground Diplomacy. This final module really zooms in on the complex, real-time management of shared resources out in a community setting. And this brilliantly illustrates a stark contrast between instinctual gut reactions and learned social behavior. On one side, we have the negative behaviors explicitly called out in the text, fighting, arguing, and pushing and shoving with arms open wide. But on the other side, we have the prescribed diplomatic solutions, taking turns, sharing seats, playing together. The curriculum is openly acknowledging the messy, chaotic reality of conflict while actively trying to rewire the child's default response to it.
I absolutely love this conflict and resolution matrix. Okay, so when there's a toy plane involved, it leads to frowns and sighs, right? Until someone suggests they make a good choice. Over at the slide, children are arguing over who gets to fly, until the resolution becomes play together. At the swing, we see pushing and shoving, which is solved by the mandate to share the space. And with a ball, they're fighting with all their might, until they are instructed to pass the ball. Actually, what's truly fascinating here is that it's always a wise little voice or a clever young friend who steps in to de-escalate these specific toy-based resource wars. The text is literally teaching peers to mediate for each other, completely removing the adult from the equation.
Which brings us right to this concluding quote. This is the ultimate mandate from the text. Sharing and caring is the way it should be. I mean, this single line beautifully summarizes the ultimate thesis of the entire toddler curriculum. Every single thing we've looked at today, from managing physical pain to persisting through those tough negotiations over lollipops to surviving the sensory overload of a car ride, it all builds up to this core philosophy of communal harmony and empathy. So I want to leave you with this final, kind of provocative thought. Do we as adults still successfully follow these foundational rules of sharing and caring that we so rigorously drill into our kids? We spend so much time and energy teaching toddlers how to de-escalate conflicts over toy cars and swings, but looking around at the adult world, well, perhaps we could all use a bit of a refresher course on making a good choice, sharing the space, and passing the ball. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope it changed the way you hear these simple rhymes, and I will catch you on the next one.